What's up, good humans?
This was one of our most requested episodes, so we've heard you.
When I first trying to forgive myself, I was like, okay, I wiped another human being off the face of the earth. Like, how do I forgive myself? How do I ever come back from this?
My relationships have suffered since being convicted. 3, 2, 1, go.
Asian families, like, we're super conservative. We don't talk about our feelings or anything like that. And it's just like, did you do your homework? Okay, good. My first visit in prison where like we're actually in person was like the first time my mom's ever hugged me in life. You know, it was just like, okay, you're doing good. I just feel really fulfilled by my relationships after going through that and really like, when you're going through your worst, that's when either like, you reach out and build on top of those relationships, or like you just let it falter and you just shut everybody out.
Like Ping said, like our Asians, we never tell each other we love her.
Yeah.
I remember for me, it was in prison that was the first time I was able to tell my mom that I love her. My relationship with my family, my friends is a lot more meaningful and strong today than what it was.
During time, when I came to prison, a lot of my family members was older. Seeing me, you know, they favorite nephew, they favorite grandchild, go through this, they were stressing out, crying. I had some have a heart attack in front of me, a seizure. You know, that bothered me. A lot of them passed on, never got a chance to see me walk up out of prison.
It's like a good and bad with prison because it's like a metamorphosis that you go through because of this situation. You have to sit in whatever you've done, but at the same time, you get to, you know, transform yourself into something better.
I have had fears about re-entering society. 3, 2, 1, go.
I've been out a little over 2 weeks, and the process has been a little easier than what I thought it was going to be. I'm just ready to get the ball rolling. I'm 43. I don't have no time to be playing, so I'm kind of like on it right now. And I know it's going to be struggles. I know it's going to be challenges, but I'm prepared for that too.
How long were you in here?
Over 25 years.
I wasn't fearful just because like I had a set date. I went in, I was married, so the plan was like, we're gonna do this, do this, do this. So I was just fortunate that I did have people around me. And even in prison, I had people around me that were like, you know, you can get out and do this. There was always options. I never felt helpless.
I was terrified of getting out of prison. I went in at 19, I got out at 33. I know exactly all my friends who are now aerospace engineers and doctors and everything. I'm like, I have no work experience. I have nothing to put on my resume. I have no job, you know, prospects. What if I fail and my family has to continue taking care of me? It scared the crap out of me, more so than staying in prison. I knew that prison messed me up, like mentally, like just day in and day out of them telling you that you have no value and you're nothing. I knew that was like in my brain.
But I think you've done the most of that fear though. Look what you've done now since you've been home. So I think you've done good for yourself.
Thank you.
So we got good outlook.
The punishment I received fit the crime I committed. 3, 2, 1, go.
It was 6 of us on my case, and they gave us all 6 the same charge. You just gotta take full responsibility. This is what they say you're guilty of, this is what your charges is. Even though I didn't pull the trigger, even though I didn't do all the other things that other people did, it was like, you know, all 6 of us go commit a crime, but all 6 of us didn't participate. But all of us got charged the same thing.
I was a vengeful person years ago, and I was a retaliative individual, and I ended my best friend's life, and I received life, and it was absolutely fair. But it wasn't fair for their family, because I can still see my family, so I agree.
I have a hard time forgiving myself. 3, 2, 1, go.
It did take me a second to forgive myself,
Because I think for any of us, like we're hardest on ourselves, we do something wrong. And everybody else will forgive us, but we don't forget ourselves. So it took me a while, but I have owning it and then forgiven myself on that. So that's why I'm kind of just somewhat agree.
For me, it was hard just based on like my father passed when I was in prison. For years, I had dreams about him. That's what made it hard for me to like get over it. But I think once I kind of like faced it and actually grieved that loss, that's when I was able to actually move forward.
To watch my mom drive out every single weekend and camp out in front of the prison overnight. And she would come in and sit there at visiting, and she'd be so exhausted she'd just fall asleep. When I was 20, I was like, Mom, just go home. Like, just go home and go to sleep. But I didn't realize that she did that because she loved me that much. Now knowing that she went through all of that for me, it's tough to forgive yourself for that.
When I first trying to forgive myself, I was like, okay, I wiped another human being off the face of the earth. Like, how do I forgive myself? How do I ever come back from this? But I figured if I sit there and hold on to that, there's no moving forward. So if I really feel bad and if I want to forgive myself, then how can I make sure there's no more victims? How can I make sure that I can make a better life for myself and other people around me?
The justice system is unfair. 3, 2, 1, go.
Like for me, it goes down to like history. Basically, the first sheriff's badge was the slave patrol. So coming down that line from slave patrol to the chain gang to mass incarceration. So like the justice system, I somewhat agree that it's like, because it was created to do what it does. It's doing what it's supposed to. It wasn't made for me or by me. So it does its function as far as I'm concerned.
The justice system is, based on how the prosecutor can bolster his success rate in court, because that's how they get into private practice, right? It's sort of like our political system. They're not gonna go for, soft on crime laws because they don't get elected into the next, term. Same thing with the prosecutors. They're not gonna, try a case where they're not so sure about, or they're gonna like stack their case against you because they wanna bolster their success rate so that they can get into private practice and make even more money.
You're right, because two people with the exact same charge, depends whether they have public defender or paid lawyer, different outcomes.
Public defender, paid lawyer, county that you got arrested at, state you got arrested at. Like, I mean, you go across the board and it's completely, you can do from like 2 years to a life sentence on any charge.
Besides those that are innocent, and I do agree with a lot of things he said, when this first came about, I used to tell some of my friends, oh, it's my attorney's fault I got 25 to life. Well, it's my upbringing when I got 25 to life. But I realized that laws were in place and justice system to protect society and our own families as well. I didn't put the gun in my attorney's hand. I didn't put the gun in the judge's hand or the jury. I'm the one that put myself in that. And when I got the 25 to life, I understood and I accepted it.
I totally respect your viewpoint. I just feel like it's two separate issues. I take responsibility for it. I still don't think the game's fair, right? Like, they lock us up away for years, don't provide any way for us to really better ourselves. And then on your release date, here's $200, get out of here, don't get in trouble again. Like, I have no idea how to find a job. I have no idea how to cope. I have no idea how to process, my mental state and my emotional state. I was lucky enough to have support, but there are a lot of people we know, like, they're paroling
Homeless.
under a bridge. It's like, what is the system doing for them?
I never thought I would live to this age. 3, 2, 1, go.
I was gonna be quiet. I'm like the nerd over here. I mean, I had all those fears. My family's like, just keep your head down. Everyone's like, don't say what you're in for. And I'm like, I'm in for fraud, And I just kept my head low. I'm like, that's it. So I basically knew I was coming home. But it was an adventure.
A lot of my friends died as teenagers, 16, 17 years old. The area I grew up in, it was, you didn't even live to see 21. I have no friends that I grew up with playing Pee Wee League, all that. They're all gone. So my mother looked at this as this is what saved me.
My very first cellmate was a lifer, who murdered his wife in cold blood, and we didn't get along. And he one night he put citricide in my food, like industrial cleaner in my food, and like I caught him. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do now? And I talked to the guys. They're like, you gotta handle it. I was just a kid, and there were definitely times where I didn't think I was gonna make it out.
That's the biggest fear, is getting stabbed for somebody else messing up, and then, or the cops just shooting and then missing or hitting us.
Yeah.
So yeah.
My past doesn't dictate who I am today. 3, 2, 1, go.
You have a fucking voice, and you're not everything the guards tell you are. You're not everything the prosecutor said you are. You're not everything that the wardens and the system says you are, right? Like the way they treated us like animals, like just throwing us on the wall and like strip searches, and coming into your cell and like tearing up all your stuff. Like that's not who we are.
Well, I love the person I am today. I have the more appreciation for the smaller things.
I truly believe that every human being's worth salvaging, and I say that all the time. So that's why, like, regardless of our mistakes in the past or the choices we made, that's why I believe, like, I'm not dictated by my past.
Yeah, I appreciate everything you said. I love you.
Thank you, man. God bless you. Man, like we have such different experiences, and the fact that we come from very different places, I think it was just very enlightening to watch.
One more thing, you guys were actually doing an episode with cops, but we're having trouble finding cops. So Kendra, email Kendra if you know any cops or officers who would love to be in an episode, because we want to humanize cops and tell their stories too.
And if you are not a cop but you'd like to be in an episode, also fill out the casting form below. We're looking for just more amazing, good humans to be part of this. So we'd love to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. As always, like, subscribe, leave a comment below, follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.